Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Books Beside My Bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading. And for those who are very familiar with the series, welcome back. This is my reading week from the 1st until the 7th of March. I have to admit, this reading week was a little bit weird for me because basically it was a really terrible, crappy week in terms of personal things. It sort of went from really high, exciting news to really crappy and terrible news really quickly. So I had a lot of trouble with my reading this week and trying to find things that I wanted to read and was excited about, but I'm going to share with you some of the things that I did read in the last 7 days. I read a total of 6 books. I'm going to talk about 4 of them today. I read a total of 1,888 pages and my yearly reading total is up to 71 books. Aside from my own personal challenges, which will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, for March the only other reading challenges that I'm completing are Romanceopoly, which is a year-long reading challenge, and Kirsty from Melbourne on My Mind also shared her monthly self-imposed reading challenges, so I'm seeing what fits into there. I'm not actively trying to complete all of the challenges, but I do have things that could fit a lot of the challenges, so I'll talk about those as we go along. The first book that I read this week was To Hate Adam Connor by Ella Mays. This is book 2 in the Love and Hate series. It is a 2016 release from Kindle. I got it on Kindle Unlimited and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The first book in the series was To Love Jason Thorne, which I did really enjoy. And this is obviously the second book, and it follows the best friend of Olive, who was the main character of the first book. The premise of To Hate Adam Connor is that Lucy, who was the best friend of the main character in To Love Jason Thorne, moves in with her best friend and new husband in their very fancy mansion next to very famous people because of things in her personal life. She's broken up with her boyfriend quite badly and there's things that are not going quite right in her personal life, so she's taking the time. She's moved in with Olive. Olive and her husband Jason live next door to Adam Connor, who is a very famous, very popular movie star slash actor, and he's also newly single, having separated from his wife, and he also has shared custody of his young son, Aiden. This is an enemies to lovers sort of trope story because at the beginning of the book, Adam has Lucy arrested when she's caught on his property after trying to help diffuse a very bad situation and, you know, accuses her of being a stalker. So that gets them started on the wrong foot. But being an enemies to lovers, hate to love romance, everything sort of sorts itself out. And this was just a fun, easy way to spend an afternoon on the couch reading about characters who had minor roles in another book and finally got their own story, and it was really delightful. And I have to say that Aiden, Adam's son, was absolutely delightful and really funny and fun and cute and adorable. It's nice when you get kid characters written in romance books that are just as equally engaging as the main characters, and I really enjoyed that. So I read that for Kirsty's challenge to read a sequel because it was the second book in this, I think it's a duology. There's only seems to be 2 books. Then, because I had a really terrible week and everything I picked up I hated, I went back to a favourite that I've already read this year, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. So I won't talk too much about this. This is a 2016 release from William Morrow and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is the first time I was reading it in physical form. The first time I read it as an ebook. So I got to tab it up this time and it made my heart happy. For those who are very unfamiliar with the series, although I've already talked about it once this year, it follows Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman, who work in the same small publishing house. They are both the executive assistants to the people in charge of the company. They were originally part of 2 separate publishing houses that merged in order to save the business, and they engage in all of these different games across their desks on a daily basis because they apparently can't stand one another. This is a really fabulous enemies to lovers workplace romance book. I love it to death. This is the second time I've read it in 3 months. There is a very good chance that I'll be reading it again before the year is out because I think this is going to be my go-to when things are really crappy because it just makes me feel so much better. I use this for Kirsty's challenge to read a romance book. Then I read Bone Cross by Patricia Briggs. This is the 4th book in the Mercy Thompson series. This was originally published in 2009 by Orbit. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really enjoying the series and the world, and it is an urban fantasy story with a really kick-ass heroine. And I'm going to have to spoil something that happened at the end of book 3 to explain the premise of the 4th book. So if you haven't read the series, skip it, but this also counts as a trigger warning, so you may want to hear it anyway. At the start of this book, Mercy is still dealing with the aftermath of being raped, and this sort of influences a lot of what she does. She's in a position where she has to make a decision between the 2 alphas that have feelings for her. So there is Adam, who is the local werewolf alpha. She has feelings for him, and has the whole way through the series, but she actually needs to make a decision, because by not making a decision about whether or not they're going to pursue something, it's causing rifts within the pack itself. And also Samuel, who she has known since childhood, and he is also an alpha werewolf, but just not from the same pack. You know, she has this decision that she has to make, and she's having to make it while still trying to negotiate how she is actually feeling about relationships currently. So there's that really interesting dynamic that is explored, and it doesn't shy away from the fact that Mercy is quite traumatized by what has happened to her, and I thought that was really, really well done. On top of that, a decision that she made in an earlier book regarding 2 vampires that she killed also comes back to haunt her as the vampires come after her, and she also finds herself investigating a haunting in the house belonging to a former college friend of hers. Patricia Briggs has done a really good job of layering the whole series, because there is a lot going on in the world, but each book just adds one more element, so you never feel like you're getting everything all at once, even though when I probably describe it, it feels like there's so much going on. But every single layer and every single part of the world has been built up steadily over the 4 books so far, so it doesn't feel overwhelming when you're reading it. It just feels like this is the next part that we learn about. This is how we get deeper into this made-up world. And I really love that. And then, because I needed another reread, I picked up Silver Silence by Nalini Singh. This is the first book in the Psy-Changeling Trinity series, but it is the 16th book overall in the Psy-Changeling world. I had read this previously, and this time I read it with the audiobook, which was good fun. I had it, so I thought I would listen to it with the audiobook, and I just needed to reread something I knew I would love. This was a 2017 release from Galance. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It follows Silver Mercant, who is a very powerful telepath who works for Caleb Krychek, who is one of the big players in the Psy world. At the beginning of this book, there is an attack on her life, and she is poisoned, and she is saved by the quick thinking of Valentin, who is the local alpha of the Stonewater Bear pack. He is in love with her and has made no secret of that, but she is silent, and so she doesn't sort of engage in that sort of relationship in that way. But after her attempted murder, it is decided by her family that she should go and live with the Bear clan, because no one will attempt anything while she's there, and they can spin it as a public relations sort of thing, because Silver is in charge of the MNET, she's in charge of the rapid response team that works to sort out disasters around the world by utilizing members of the Trinity Accord, so that includes the Changelings, the Psy, and also humans. And so this looks good because she's spending time with the Changelings. And while she's there, her silence is tested and romance ensues, and it's adorable. And honestly, as much as I love the relationship between Silver and Valentin, who is fantastic as the male lead, but it's finding out all the little things about the Bear clan, which is just adorable, and all of the tiny little small bears that run around in the story, who get called tiny or small bear gangsters or tiny baby gangsters. They are adorable, and I love them. What could be more adorable than like 5-year-old bears running around? I think that's just so fun. So this was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was great to reread it, and I know that the next book is coming out very soon, halfway through the year. I've just got to hold out to then and find out what's going to happen in the next book, because it's going to be great. So those are the books that I read this week. In the comments below, let me know if you have read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them, or if you are planning on picking them up. Alternatively, feel free to let me know what you have been reading over the last week. I would love to hear about the things you have been enjoying. I hope that wherever you're in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.